Hi everyone, welcome to my session on Microsoft Cloud App Security, how we can leverage it as the next level cybersecurity solution for organizations. Now, before I go ahead and start, let me actually share my gratitude for the generous sponsors, which are displayed on the slide deck now on the screen. Actually, without them, it will be really difficult for the organizers to do such a good event. So being said that, for the audience, of course, you have the raffle draw. So make sure that you go to each vendor's booth and sessions and watch the videos, provide the answers, and then based on how lucky you are on each region, you will be eligible for the gift. And I congratulate to the winners in advance, whoever you are. And apart from that, on this event, 10% of the funds actually going back to the charity. And then if you are interested to provide donating, the links are there. Please feel free to provide the support for those local heroes. So being said that, let me introduce about myself a little bit. So my name is Susantha Silva, and I'm from Sri Lanka. And I work, actually used to be MVP, I used it RMVP and MCT. MVP used to be on the cloud and data center category. And I'm working as a consultant for an organization called Infront Consulting Group, which is predominantly my work is related to the cloud workload migration for the customers, help them on the BCDR planning, and then once they are onboarded, discuss about the security solutions, how we can help them to improve their security. So with that experience, I would really like to share today about this cloud app security, about my learning, and then what are the things we should be aware about. So being said that, I'm also MCT, which is actively conducting classes, and then a community person been for last, I think, 12 years time period. So one of my habits is actually I'm a computer gadget junkie. So I put the word like that. That means I'm more interested about capturing, purchasing, and then gathering computer gadgets. Like, I don't know, I have two boxes full of like mouse, keyboards, speakers, cameras, whatever you find interesting on computer areas, I'm always gathering. That's my bad habit. So we said that, coming back to the agenda, I'm going to talk about, first of all, about the CASB and why you should care about the CASB solution. Then going into the Microsoft Cloud App Security ecosystem, which is the Microsoft version of the CASB. And then under that, we'll talk about how we can discover the risk in your environment, and then how we can protect your data and applications. And then, of course, how we can do the real-time access control by combining the policies. And then one of the key part is discovering about the cyber threats and how we can address them when you go into the hybrid world or into the fully cloud world. And if time permits, based on how things are going on, I will actually talk to you all about how you can do the implementation of cloud app security into your environment based on how interesting you find this subject and the topic. So being said that, so what is cloud app security, or we call cloud app security brokers, or CASB in security world, the name goes as. So I took the Wikipedia explanation, but in a shorthand, just think about CASB as an appliance or a solution, software solution, which sit between your on-premise environment and the cloud environment and keep on listening to the traffic going in both sides and the user activities. And then once you identified, you can actually, the security administrators can define and apply rules to control these activities. This is actually being expanded or enhanced now, even to integrate with malware protections. So over the time period, this CASB solution become much more sophisticated and become a necessity solution for the organizations. So being said that, the key thing to understanding why a cloud service security solution should be required for us at this stage. The reason is the dynamics of how the organizations actually move into the cloud has been increased. Along with that one, your typical on-premise security solution is no longer going to be, let's say, adequate to the situation. You need to get adjusted because the cloud apps keep on booming on the industry and the users are keep on working from remote location. With all those things, we need to address. So this particular situation has bring a unique problem to the security experts or in the organization who are helping to manage it, how we can address this. So if I summarize the top user cases of CASB solutions, if you look at the bottom of the picture, we talk about the traffic can be generated from the corporate headquarters or branch office. Users can access from public or home Wi-Fi. In current COVID situation, I would say that now the traffic goes 99% onto the home base. So traffic will generate from home to the office environment. And then of course you have your external business partners, and then you have the unmanaged devices used by them and maybe by your employees as well. So all those traffics going towards to access your corporate applications and data. So when you do that one, what you really want to do actually control. So the controlling part, one thing is identify what are the unauthorized applications which is being leveraged to access your data and application, and then block them. So which is on the far left corner called as unsanctioned apps, and then detect or we call it whitelist your corporate applications. And then the biggest other challenge, because of this multi-cloud environment or hybrid cloud environment, the security threats keep on increasing. So you have to come up with innovative ways to protect from that. So the idea behind that one is the new threats keep on lurking. We need to identify and then come up with solutions to mitigate them very quickly. There's no time like in on-premise to take time to mitigate, address those problems. You need to be very quick on those things. So that is actually how CASB will be leveraged in most of the organization when it comes to practical level deployment. Now, Microsoft Cloud App Security, I call it, they are still the king, wearing the crown in this solution perspective. So as of Gartner report of 2019, Microsoft Cloud App Security still stand on top of the hill, I would say. So why? There are actually a couple of reasons for that one. But before I go in detail on that, let me take some of the important key features, what we found out recently been announced as well. One is actually Cloud App Discovery being integrated with ATP. This is very interesting. The reason is, when I go to next slide, I'll talk about how typically we capture the data from your environment in order to understand how user behavior and the application and data access going on. But now the unique challenge is the users are working from home. So all those traffic keep on actually happening in their devices which working from home. It will never reach out to your corporate firewall. So we need to find a unique solution. So this integration with Microsoft Defender ATP really addressed that problem. And then of course, like you need to understand the shadow IT on the IaaS, PaaS and SaaS environment. We need to understand, and then only you can take actions based on that. And then the malware detonation, understanding the malware which is been lurking around in your environment need to be quickly addressed. So to do that one, you need to connect with this application through API base. And then integration with Azure Sentinel and Power BI, which I'll talk about later stage, why it will become more important. So we said that if I take you to the architecture wise, how it will work in high level, in the diagram, we have the Microsoft Cloud App Security, and then on top we have the cloud applications, which can be connected via APIs, or we call app connectors. Then in your environment, in your office environment, you will be having your firewalls or proxies. So we can connect for those devices and retrieve the logs on periodic manner. And then the interesting part I mentioned earlier about the ATP. So now since your users are working outside, regardless of their location, by integrating with Defender ATP, we can capture the end devices telemetry data and then retrieve them to the Cloud App Security. So there's an interesting integration is there and advantage, which I'll explain later. So the thing is, this is how our ecosystem works on Microsoft perspective. By doing that one and understanding then only we will be able to provide the rules to control to access. Now, coming back to the real story, why Microsoft shine in this cloud app security? Because of their unique integrated solutions into that ecosystem. I use the word ecosystem in that situation. Reason is we are leveraging Microsoft Intelligent Security Graph, which will be giving the telemetry data, which is happening, because they have the vast amount of data about security information in their data centers. They can provide those information to the CASB. Then we have the Microsoft Azure Security Center, which will be monitoring the IaaS environment across Azure, AWS, or Google Cloud. So that information will be pumped into the CASB to understand what are the security complications or security settings missing on those environment. So for the mobile device management, integration is about the Intune. And then once you identify those data, we want to control data leakage prevention, or we call DLP solution. So from Microsoft point of view, we have the Azure Information Protection, or we call it shorthand AIP. So AIP can be integrated with CASB to provide that particular solution once we identify the data leakage. And then, of course, Microsoft ecosystem is highly talking about identity. So the solutions are evolving around identity. So protecting that identity and combining with conditional access policies will actually going to provide much more nitty-gritty level integration with the CASB. And finally, the endpoint protection, which is the Microsoft Defender ATP. Now, I would say it has gone more than typical the well-known virus cards. It is more than that. So the entire EDR, or endpoint detection and responses on Microsoft ATP ecosystem, is very much far more enhanced. So once it has been integrated with CASB, CASB can be sit down centrally and then control all these solutions, integration. So that's the power. That's why actually it's sitting on top of the list. So going back, let's come to point by point. First of all, about the discovery of shadow IT. The reason why this shadow IT become a problem when you go to the cloud-based adoptions, whether it's a hybrid cloud or fully cloud, you don't know about some of these applications being used by the end users. Maybe genuinely to do office work, they might be using maybe, let's say, Dropbox or maybe other storage vendor, which we are not aware about. And we have no idea who is the author, whether those applications are trusted, and what kind of information they are retrieving once you register. So whether they are GDPR compliant. So many problems to be think about when it comes to about the cloud apps. So that is one reason we need to, first of all, to understand before we jump into any solutions, we need to understand of what is going behind my environment. This is what we call the shadow IT management lifecycle. Once you identify it only, we will be able to find out what we need to do next. So in this lifecycle picture, if I take your attention to the second one, called identify the risk level of your apps. So Microsoft actually now detecting more than 16,000 application cloud apps, and then those apps will be measured across roughly around 80 risk factors, and then we'll show you these are the risk factors about the application. So after that, security administrator can take a decision what he or she want to do with that one after talking to the management. So this is a life cycle to showcase how this works on a production environment. Assuming you all can see the web page now. So this is a live environment in my organization. So if I go to the Cloud App Discovery dashboard, what I'm trying to do is I mentioned we can gather the information from either firewall or the latest one of the ATP. What I have done is in our environment, we have leveraged ATP. So you can see it says continuous report on top. Windows 10 endpoint users. So this is the data we have gathered in our environment. We have up to 43 users, 188 apps being leveraged by our team members, and the machines, IP address, and traffic. If you look at this dashboard, right now it says that categorization wise, the risk level. So far our company is not that bad. And then the discovered applications, and then the data usage. Who are the top users based on the traffic wise or maybe upload wise, you can select the categorization. and then from where the users access to our environment. So these are pretty powerful information. Because I work with one customer, initially why they really loved about this CASB solution is because of this dashboard. It's not about that they don't have the logs, they have the logs, but for a single security engineer to keep on gathering, reading the logs, correlate them, come to a decision, it is impossible when you are running with so many users and the activities. So this dashboard summarized those information. So without further ado, if I go back to the discovered apps. So as I mentioned earlier, first of all, we need to understand discovery. So here we are in the discovery stage. You can see the applications and how many machines access them. And then we have a security score given. So to do a quick demo, let me go ahead and summarize the security score into 0 to 3 level. So once I do that one, it will show the application not so great, I would say security score wise, being detected, and which has been accessed by our organization team members. So now if I explain the security score, why Microsoft given this number 3? As I mentioned, those 80 plus compliances will come to the picture. So this application doesn't support SAML authentication, compliance-wise safe harbor rules are not supported, legal-wise GDPR it's partial. So combination of all this has derived to give that application security score of 3. But if you believe after some time this application must have fixed those things, you can go and say click the 3-dotted line and select request for update, and then it will try to connect it to the Microsoft app database and verify what is the security score. If it's been adjusted, it will get updated. Now for the example, for the demo purpose, I selected this application called Cloud Fuse, and I select that one and said unsanctioned, block this application in our organization. Just to show quickly what will happen, if I try to go for that application, it will be blocked because of the policy how we have defined. Now the good thing is, as I mentioned, sorry about that, let me go to settings on this particular window and show you something interesting. Because I mentioned we are integrated with Microsoft Defender ATP, you can see whatever the unsanctioned apps on cloud apps will be passed to ATP. So it will go to your end machines and then apply this policy. It's a pretty cool. To do that one, you need to previously you need to have Zscaler or like third-party application. Still, those are valuable, but how Microsoft actually capturing the user voice and then adapting. So it's pretty powerful. When I block the application over here, that information will go through the Microsoft Defender ATP to the endpoint machines, and then it will be applied. So that particular website blocking, that particular action will be end of the day will come back to my activity logs after certain time period, and then it will be appearing onto the alerts as well. So that's first thing about integrating and getting the information to the particular portal. So one more thing I really wanted to show about where else we can gather the information, but I have to leave a little bit time on for this portal. I found out it's slightly getting delayed certain time to time. Okay, so coming back to about automatic log upload. So we at the moment we are leveraging ATP to upload that Windows 10 endpoint data. But if you have other sources, let's say add data source, you can have other firewall appliances. The list so goes on. If not, you can manually upload log format data as well to inject to this portal and then find out the information. But since this ATP come to the picture, I'm highly talking about that one because I find it very much useful under current condition as well, because most of the users are working from home. So coming back to the slide deck. So we saw like application can be discovered, and based on that you can take action. And of course that action can be automated as well. It's saying like if the score is between 0 and 3, block those application and inform to the administrator as well. Or maybe let them access, but let the administrator get an alert. Now the next part is protecting the files and data. So when we enter into the cloud journey, your data can be in various locations. It can be on end users OneDrive, it can be on the SharePoint, or it can be corporate approved another storage device. So when we share this data, the biggest challenge is you might be sharing this data with external parties. Some of this information can be very confidential documents. So how we can control that part? To do that one, we need to first of all come up with the solution of classification of providing the labels, or we can integrate with the DLP solutions. In this situation, Microsoft is generous enough to integrate with the third-party DLP solution. So if you have already on-premise DLP solution, you don't have to kick it out. You can leverage that one. If you don't have that one, then you can leverage Microsoft AIP. I think one more session before me was talking about deeply on the AIP technology. So we can combine with AIP and apply the policies to protect the data. Now let me show you the interesting part in that. So in this animation, as you can see, user upload the document to a cloud storage, and then based on the classification label, we can scan that file. If it's having important, let's say confidential data, we can apply the DLP solution. And then if that document being shared with external party, it will be blocked. And same time, an alert will be taken to the administrator. Now it's kind of like on the fly DLP solution applied, and take it further, file and data control architecture. This is a little bit more deeply, but the idea behind that one, we are leveraging the APIs to connect it with the applications, and then we leverage the proxy traffic. And once we read that particular file contents, then based on the policy, we can apply the DLP. It can be third-party DLP engine, or it can be Microsoft AIP, the policies. So let me again take you to the lab environment and demo how that happens. So if I go to the files, and go to the policies, and then demo you quickly the policy that we have created for this one called demo. So I have created a policy called file download one, and in that one the category is DLP. So we mention application equals Microsoft SharePoint or Microsoft Exchange Online. If it find any files which is falling under the category of having data on US social security numbers or credit card numbers, we want to block it. But before I take it further, and then after that, an alert will be sent for the end user as well. Let me show one more interesting thing. Let's assume we had a file like that. And if we find such a file in those locations, I want to take extraction, apply the AIP, Azure Information Protection, or whatever the DLP solution you're using. Then we can select protect and labels for those documents. So this is what I mentioned about identified and then real time apply the labels. So I'm not going to do any modification, so I'll leave it like this. I'll come back to the action section. If I go to my emails and then go for one of the sample, such a secure document which has been tried to share by my colleague called Nuan. So he has sent me a document. If I try to download this document, because it has that employee SSN number, when I try to download, this will be blocked. Directly it says because due to this reason. This explanation can be customized as well. Now if I go to the inbox as an end user, I'll also get a message. I save it in advance saying because of the policy this file has been blocked. And then after a little while, it will come back to the alerts, and most probably it will be come back to my activity logs as well. But it might take a little bit time, but just wanted to show you how you can use dynamic policies. I mean, understanding the content and based on that, apply the policies. Now take it to the next level of real-time monitoring and controls. So earlier is a policy applied from a CAS level, Cloud App Security. Now, what if I really wanted to bring another combination of policy? If the user belongs to certain department, and if he's accessing from a, let's say not from the office location, based on those criteria, I wanted to do certain activity, or let's say it can be blocking, it can be limited access. This is where in Microsoft Azure AD, conditional access policies come to the picture, combined with MCAS policies. So why we need that one? The reason is maybe the users accidentally share files, critical files, and then falling into the problem individually and the corporate wise. So this is what actually we tried to demo you previously, but let me quickly show why this is much more powerful. If I go back to the next screen, so this data can be in box or it can be on a Dropbox, any location, as long as those are integrated with Cloud App Security. It will be reading Microsoft Azure Active Directory when the user tries to log in. It will read its conditions, and then it will say, okay, user is good, he's in the office location, user is not good. If his user is not good, then it comes to the Cloud App Security, and it will be analyzing the risk based on the policies given, and then give the limited access, or we call it condition access. So let me show that part, not to the detail level, but how it has been defined. So if I go to the Azure AD and then go to security, go to conditional access, and we have created a policy called SL demo policy. In here, we have defined specific users. In this situation, we selected a group, specific group, where I'm also part of that group, my user account, and the applications. Microsoft Exchange Online and SharePoint Online has been selected. And you can see under the conditions, there's no conditions or access control has been defined. We have selected is a session base. So this is where it will be going to the CASB. So the custom policies we have defined on the CASB. So moving to the CASB side, if I go to the settings and look at the conditional access app control, since we have call out for those two applications, they will be generated onto the CASB area. And now you can see Exchange Online and SharePoint Online, those are connected. Connected because we have call out for a policy. So just to show that policy, if I again type demo, if I go to this demo infront SL O365 activity. So how we have defined saying if the location is not equal to Sri Lanka, and then if the application being accessed is Exchange Online or SharePoint Online, if it's fall into the domain name of this particular domain name, then we wanted to send an alert. And the same time, apart from alert, if you have this can be alert or this can be done whatever that activity you prefer. We done another part of like sending an alert using Microsoft Power Automate. We forward this alert to Microsoft Teams onto one of the Teams channel. Just to show that one quickly into your environment. Let me share the screen. Oops. Yeah, I don't think I'll be able to share the screen because I'm in a different Teams channel right now. But what we did it, we actually put it to the Microsoft Flow and then forward it to Teams. So the alert is coming to this particular screen as well as it goes to the Microsoft Teams channel. I'm not a Microsoft Power Flow expert, but it already Flow is available as templates in the Microsoft website, or you can create a custom one, or else you can actually call out for an expert for that one. So this is actually taking to the next level of dynamic control to access and address the security solutions very quickly. Just to show about that part, if I go to security extensions, by calling for the APIs, I have integrated Microsoft Flow, and after that, we created the playbook. It might take a little bit time to load the playbook. Okay, so here we go the playbook one. So if I take you to the Microsoft Flow, just to show quickly how easy it would be. This is the particular flow I have created, and then if I look at the analytics, we will be able to see how far this particular rule has been successful, or if there's any errors has been occurred, which is very useful for the security administrator to know what is the success rate. And coming back onto the rule, if I go to edit, and then go to edit back, just to show it says when alert is generated, go to the apply, and then I selected Microsoft Teams message version 3, and then select the team called SOC team and the channel general. And then I mentioned for the message, I want to include description, IP address, and the alert type. If you want additional parameters can be called out. Now, as I mentioned, if you really not comfortable with Flow, just like me, then you can of course go to the templates. So Microsoft template gallery is there. You can type the word cloud app, and then there are a couple of cloud app templates are there. You can either use them and then customize them based on your preference. So that's how actually the automation can be bring to the picture. Now, I mentioned it is only Microsoft Teams, but it doesn't mean you can only stick to Teams. You can actually integrate third-party help-desk systems to bring those alerts as a ticket for the security engineers to keep on working. So that's one area. Sorry, let me actually bring you to one more quick area about that. So if you have external DLPs, which I couldn't demo previously, I don't have external DLP, but if you have third-party solutions, you can integrate. And if you have SIEM solutions, you can integrate SIEM. In my case, I have integrated with Azure Sentinel. So all the data or telemetry information what are required will be pumped from Cloud App Security to Azure Sentinel in order to provide much more, let's say, granular level of controlling and inspection of those traffic. So if I quickly move to Azure Sentinel. So any Azure Sentinel is not part of our demos today, but just want to show once you integrate it as a connector, this will actually give you much more controlling or investigation information. So coming back to our slide deck. So we talk about the data protections, and then we talk about the information, application protection as well. The other one about the protection from the cyber threats. So when it comes to cyber threats, this has become one of the most, let's say, hot topic, because once you enter into the cloud arena, you will be welcomed by the hackers and then all the other people who really wanted to grab your data in very unique way. Maybe those attacks are not the family attacks what you see in the on-premise. Maybe some of them are same like that, but slightly variant. So the important thing to understand in that context, how we can address those. So before we jump into detail, let me show how we can understand in those cloud threats. One is that I talk about is rogue application. So AOAuth application, let's say you have cloud apps, which, as I said earlier, maybe user will go and try to subscribe to a cloud application, which maybe you don't know the author. And in that case, those applications, once you set it up, it will try to retrieve the user's information, user profile, and maybe we don't know what more. So in that situation, when you try to onboard, carefully plan rogue application, AOAuth application, that will actually lead to a problem. So we need to understand what are those applications in your environment, and we need to have the flexibility to block them. So in the first demo I did, we can even automate that one by identifying those rogue applications to automated level. And then the other one is data exploration. So what that means is when in your organization, when unusual amount of data being copied out or maybe deleted, or someone try to modify or try to access a highly confidential document which has been classified, these actions we need to understand quickly and then need to take the action based on that. And then the most common scenario is compromised user account. So we have here in many security events, we talk about once a hacker or intruder got access to a user account, a lower level user account, he or she will take time and then gather information very slowly in the environment without being detected. So this can be even a couple of weeks, months, likewise. So that particular activity is called as lateral movement in security terms. So that particular lateral movement in typical environment, earlier Microsoft mentioned it's like 3 to 4 months, even beyond that. But now, because of the new era we are living on, we can't afford to have such a long time. We need to detect those lateral movement very quickly. So compromise accounts and then take that action based on that. Even if possible, automate those actions. And then of course we have our well-known two guys, ransomware and malware. So ransomware, we really wanted to make sure what Microsoft doing in this situation is using the sophisticated analytic engines tools, or we call the machine learning and the AI infused, to detect those activity quickly. And then I'm really glad to say in Windows 10 in ATP built in you have the ransomware protection. So once you go and select the folder saying ransomware protected, it will take all the necessary action to just to make sure those particular data will not get attacked on the ransomware. And then malware. So again, which is well-known thing. So what we are trying to do is in this CASB solution level for the malware, we are going to go ahead and scan onto the cloud storages and try to detect them. So this cloud storage, as I mentioned earlier, as long as we have API level integrated properly, we can go across third-party cloud storages as well. And then another well-known scenario is attacks are not always happening from outside. It can happen from inside as well. So in this situation, we really wanted to understand if there's any malicious inside activity happening in our environment. So thanks to integration with Defend ATP, we will be able to understand if an end user try to do any unusual activities in their PCs, like try to execute a file which is not supposed to be done by the users. We have that particular insight into the picture. Now, being said that, the detection across cloud apps, let me bring them quickly to. So rather than let me go ahead very quickly rather than going one by one. So threat delivery, we can actually detect unauthorized or failed at login attempts to the authorized apps, and then malicious auth applications. We can categorize them and then block them. So indicators of compromised sessions. This is like well known. Maybe the users are connecting from unusual locations, or maybe suspicious IP addresses, and or infrequent travel, impossible travel sessions between the sessions actually. So these things will be leveraged to identify whether the user has been compromised or not. And then of course, like the files will be scanned just to understand if there's any ransomware attacks are there into the files. And then the data exploration actions. So when it comes to the malicious use of the privileged use account, this is what we call the lateral movement we want to scan. And same time, if someone try to do unusual activities like deleting large number of virtual machines, we want to detect them quickly. So I'll try to demo those things in the live environment. This is something I'm unable to show in my production environment. So let me explain this. What you see is one of the cloud storage called Box. As long as this storage solution has been integrated with CASB, we can go ahead and leveraging that API, we can go ahead and scan it. So you can see this particular file has been detected with malware. So that's one area. This is in this scenario, it's only showing you the share box, but as I said, it can keep on scanning the SharePoint environment, or maybe like OneDrive or third-party application, so storage drives. And the other one we talked about earlier, like which I demo about the OAuth applications based on their security score or maybe the risky level, we can identify them and then block them. And the newest thing is we can define automate app permission policies as well in order to make this automate as well. So let me now take you to the live environment again. So a couple of things I really want to bring to the attention about that integrations. If I bring to the app connectors, so in our live environment, we have the Office 365, Microsoft Exchange Online, Microsoft Azure has been integrated. Box has been integrated, but my account is expired. So as you can see, it says connection error. But in here, you will be able to see this application integration is possible. One thing I really want to highlight, the Microsoft Amazon AWS, Google Cloud Platform, and G Suite. So apart from that, more apps can be available. If I go to the dashboard as well, now let's look at the dashboard. I purposely delay discussing about the dashboard. So if you are familiar with Cloud App Security, the dashboard, the new one is slightly different because Microsoft, based on the user feedback, dashboard has been readjusted. So looking at this dashboard, you can see the alerts, open alerts are there. So you have to understand these alerts will be not the real time. It will take slightly time to update it. And then about the new discovered apps, and then based on the user's investigate or risky level, who are the users, or let's say who are the naughty boys. And then the number of connected cloud applications. And then here we have the infected malware, which we don't have at the moment. And then 12 privilege auth application. This is very important. I'll come to this one. So Azure security configuration, so bad, something has gone wrong. This is about the connectivity issues, which is actually being integrated with Azure Security Center and providing you the feedback about the Azure IaaS environment. And it suggested you about getting connected to the AWS as well. Here we have the DLP alerts. So coming one by one, if I come to the open alerts, go for the alert section. Here you can see all the alerts being generated. And if you really wanted to filter them out by categories, let's say threat detections. So here you will be able to see all the threat details. So why this is a special thing I want to highlight. This account enumeration recognizes why this message comes, because we have integrated our local Active Directories with the cloud apps using the Azure ATP agent. Because of that, any login activity or unusual activity happening in the local environment will be bring back to the CASB. So this is to demo case you to understand CASB will be, as this is truly a broker service, which will be scanning the on-premise environment and the cloud environment as well. And here we have the my user account for the Exchange Online has been used by unusual locations and the severity is high. So likewise, you can categorize based on the threat level and then identify what are the activities, can be filtered the activities. And based on that activities, of course, as I said earlier, text actions can be taken as well. Now coming back to dashboard again about this users investigate. What this mention is users based on their activity. So sorry, let me go back to the dashboard because this is a live one. I'll connect my user account. So if you are the security administrator, then you will be able to find out, okay, how many investigate priority score is there. So each of these activity based on the severity level, there will be score is given. So this is the combination cumulative value of the score, and then compare with the organization my risky level. So far I'm okay, it does not come to the red level. And based on that, because this is very important to understand what this particular user has been doing, and then even go clicking on these alerts to go and investigate much more detailed level. So if I click one of the alerts, so you will be able to see we can investigate that particular user, and if you really want, you can go and gather more details about that activity. So on and so forth. Due to the time limitation, I'm going to limit things. So you can see this particular user tried to access from Tor web browser. So these are very unique information, very valuable. So coming back onto my investigate to the files, I'll query the, I have saved a query just to show call entries by demo query. In this one, I'm going to find out what are the files which has been shared with external, which is called public and external, which having Azure information protection enabled, just for the query purpose. But this is also again important for you to understand why the reason is in this particular scenario. If I go back, this is about, let's say if I really want to find out what are the data being shared with outside, I can select external. It will at a glance tell me with all the shared application location, storage location, these are the files will be shared with external party. So as you saw earlier, you can take a action based on that. So this is just to show high level what you really can do with cloud app security. Because of the limited time, I will not be able to go in depth. But if you really wanted to implement CASB and try to understand what is lurking behind your background, the deployment one, I would say our approach is normally we talk about a case workshop and then plan the deployment with a trial. And then we try to connect with your sources. It can be your network firewall or maybe with the cloud applications. If you're using multi-cloud with those sources, if you are really lucky person, if you are using Microsoft Defender ATP, it will be really great. We can do integrate that one. And then we start doing the discovery of assessment, just to understand what are the shadow IT applications in the backend. and then find out what are the suspicious use activities and expose sensitive data to the outside. So based on that, you can go to the next level of like tuning the anomaly detection policies and then integrating Azure information protection and compliance, bring it to the picture. So you can go granular level controlling your environment. As I said, in security, it's a journey. It's not like we come and then deploy and then you can say happily, oh, it's deployed, cloud app security deployed, everything's protected. It is not. Just want to let you know it's a journey. Likewise. So being said that, so thank you so much. I know it's a lot of information I had to pack up. So if you really want more information, please feel to contact me. And if you really feel you learned something new, feel free to provide the speaker feedback about genuine feedback, how the session is. And same time, we highly encourage you to provide the event feedback as well. And I also thank you again for the organizers giving me the opportunity and then giving the opportunity to everyone to participate.